Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi allazina astafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wa qur rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidqin wa akhrijni mukhraja sidqin waj'al li min ladunka sultanan nasira. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. We are continuing with our series on the du'as which are mentioned in the Quran. The next dua comes in Surah Bani Israel, and this also has the word kul, where the Prophet ﷺ is being addressed and he's being told to ask this dua using these words. And like I've already mentioned before, that this is a dua where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is teaching us the words and also commanding us to make dua using these words. So these are duas about whose acceptance we can fairly be sure about the acceptance. We can be guaranteed about the acceptance because it does not befit the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah ta'ala himself teaches us the dua, teaches us the words of the dua, and then doesn't accept that dua. So this is another dua which begins with the word kul. Then make this dua to me using these words. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq wa akhrijni mukhraja sidq waj'al li min ladunka sultanan nasira. This is also very beautiful, very deep dua. And normally we first give the background and the context of this dua and then we try to apply it in our daily life. So this time we decided that we're going to do the opposite. That first we look at just the simple meaning of this dua, how it applies to us. And then at the end we look at the context in which this dua was revealed. So the meaning is very simple. A simple meaning. The simple meaning is that, O my Rabb, we make dua that, O my Lord, O my Rabb, wa Rabbi, my Rabb, adkhilni mudkhala sidq, cause me to enter a sound entrance. Make me such that I can, wherever I enter, whenever I enter, wherever I enter with goodness. I enter with virtue, I enter with goodness, I enter with truth, I enter with sidq. And make me such that whenever I leave and wherever I leave, so I'm able to leave, I'm able to exit also in a good manner. I'm able to leave with goodness. I'm able to leave with virtue, leave with truth, leave with sidq. And grant me from yourself authority which will be supportive, which will support me. Waj'al li min ladunka sultanan nasira. And grant me from yourself that strength which is supported by you, a strength which has your support. So this is the simple meaning of this dua, which means that wherever I enter, whether I enter my house, I enter my room, I enter my university, I enter my car, I enter my workspace, I enter my office, I enter my shop, or I enter a city, I enter a neighborhood, I enter a country. So whenever I enter, wherever I enter, so make me such that I can enter with goodness, with virtue. And whenever I leave, whenever I exit a place, so wherever I exit and whenever I exit, make me exit in a good manner, with goodness. So upon entrance, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make my entry easy, which doesn't have any obstacles. There are no worries. There is no bad things that happen on the way. And whenever I leave, whenever I exit, so for whatever purpose I wanted to enter, I grant, make me such that I can attain my purpose. I'm able to fulfill my purpose, my goal, my objective. And then when I leave, I can leave without any difficulty. I can leave easily, with goodness, with virtue, by having fulfilled the purpose that I wanted to fulfill. And, oh Allah, grant me from yourself a strength, a power with which you can support me, which has your support. I want strength, I want power, but not just pure brute strength. I want a strength which has your support. That if I don't get tawfiq from you, then no matter how strong I am, I won't be able to use that strength in the right way. My strength would be a waste. So I don't just want strength or power. I want a strength which is supported by you, which has assistance from you, which has the gaze of mercy, which has your gaze of mercy on it. So this is the dua, which has a particular context, but if you look at the plain meaning, the simple meaning, it's a very practical dua. A dua which we can apply, we can fit in our life in so many different ways. In fact, multiple times during the day, we can fit this dua, we can apply this dua in our life. Why? Because we will be either entering some place. No, you will be entering so many places during the day. You will be entering your house, you will be entering the car, your office, your university, your hospital, your shop, work, wherever. There's so many places that we enter throughout the day. And then there are so many places that we leave throughout the day. So, for example, when a person enters their house, we want that, Ya Allah, make me enter this house with afiyah, with well-being, with goodness, with blessing. So that when I enter the house, I can see a good environment within my house. People are not fighting, they're not arguing, they're not bickering. I want a house which has peace, which has itminan, which has goodness, which gives me joy. It becomes the coolness of my eyes. I want my members of my family, the members of the household, that when I look at them, I become happy. They become the coolness of my eye. I want them to be in a state of well-being, in a state of contentment, in a state of joy and happiness. I don't want to see them in a state of pain or sorrow or grief. This is something which all of us want. This is how we want to enter. This is what we want, that when we enter our homes, we want a sweet home, a peaceful home, a beautiful home, a home full of joy and happiness and laughter. Right? We want that. And when we leave our house, again, we want well-being from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, Allah, I'm leaving my house, and I'm leaving my house to do a particular task, to do an errand. Allah, make me leave with goodness. Make me leave with ease. Allah, let there not be any obstacles on the way. And whatever task I'm going out to attain, Allah, make it easy for me to attain that task. Grant me success in that task, in that goal, in that purpose. All of us want that. If a person, let's say, they are doing a job, they're working somewhere, working for someone. So when you enter your workplace, again, a person wants, they wish that Allah, make me enter with goodness. Allah, let that environment be conducive to my iman. Let that environment be something which where I can get some solace in my heart, some contentment, a good work environment where I can fulfill my faraiz as well. I can fulfill my responsibility at work. We need this. When we leave our offices, our workplace, again, we require the same thing that will make me leave with afiyah, with well-being, with goodness. We enter our schools or colleges or university. We are going there to study. So again, we need this, that Allah make me enter my university, make my entry easy. I'm easily able to enter. There are no obstacles on the way. Allah make me enter with goodness. Allah make me enter in such a way that I can attain the goal which I want to attain by going to university, which is studies. Let me excel in my studies. Let me get success, be successful in my class. Not just university, even a particular classroom, right? Allah enable me to be successful in this particular class which I'm about to take. I'm able to understand everything the teacher explains to me. I'm able to take good notes. And then when you leave that, again, Allah make me leave this place with goodness. So this is something, the dua is teaching us a thing which all of us require. These are things which we require on a daily basis. Some of us might be working in hospitals, or there might be a need to go to a hospital. So we want to go to the hospital because I want to get treatment. So again, what do you require? We require this dua. Allah, make me enter that place with goodness. Make me find someone who is a good doctor. Put shifa and healing on the hands of that doctor. Allah, make this treatment conducive for me. Allah, give me healing and shifa through this treatment. Allah, put efficacy in these medicines. Allah, guide the doctor to be able to prescribe for me the best medicine, the most effective medicine, the beneficial medicine, so that I can regain my health. All of this comes in this dua. That Allah make me enter that place with goodness. So if we can think more, but the summary is that if we reflect that during the day, during the night, there's so many places that you're entering, and there are so many places that you're exiting. And this is an important and a comprehensive dua, a jami dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us in the Quran, that you should make this dua. Kul, make this dua. Teaching us that wherever you enter, make this dua. When you enter your car, when you're riding, you enter the car, you have to go somewhere. You're now sitting in the car, you're sitting in the train, you're sitting on the bus, you're sitting inside the plane. Recite this dua. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq. That Allah, make me enter this place, make me enter this vehicle with goodness. Generally, there are other duas that we should also recite for travel, and those sunnah duas are also there in our deen, like Subhanallazi sakhkhara lana and Allahumma anta sahibu bis safri. And there are other duas, and each dua has its own benefit and efficacy and has its own place, and we should recite those sunnah duas. But this is also a very important dua, a very comprehensive dua, which is specifically about entering, that whenever you enter, wherever you are entering, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make me enter that place with goodness, and make me leave that place with goodness. Sometimes it shouldn't be the case that when I enter with goodness, but then I get stuck there. Or there is some musibat that comes in that place. I'm not able to exit. I'm not able to leave. I'm stuck. There is no exit. There is a calamity. Some test comes, some trial, tribulation, or a tragedy happens in that place, such that I'm not able to leave. Or if I leave, I'm leaving in a state of pain. I'm just leaving in a state of sorrow. I'm leaving in a state of unhappiness. No, Allah, make me enter with happiness and make me leave with happiness, with goodness. So for this reason, this is such a general dua, such an applicable dua, and also such a comprehensive dua, jame dua, that a person should try to make this part of their daily life. This is one of those duas that on a daily basis, we should learn this, memorize this, and then on a daily basis, use it. Use it. Remind yourself, right? You're riding the car, you're entering the car, recite this dua. You're going to some new place, recite this dua. You're entering a city, recite this dua. You are entering your workplace or university or hospital, recite this dua. You're beginning some new task, some new work. Before you begin, recite this dua. Recite this dua. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq. So this is one aspect that make me enter with goodness and make me leave with goodness. And then after this, the last part of this dua, وَجْعَلْ لِي مِن لَدُنْكَ سُلْطَانًا نَصِيرًا. Now, what does this mean? That Allah make for me, grant me, مِن لَدُنْكَ, from yourself, from your rahmah, not because of any compensation or any ivas or anything which I have done. I'm not deserving of this. I'm undeserving, unworthy. Allah just give it to me. Give it to me as a favor, as a gift, as an in'am, as a blessing from you, from your side. So Allah grant for me from your side, from yourself, as a gift, as your grace, as your mercy, sultanan, a power, a strength, a quwwat. Yani whenever you enter a place, right, you're entering a place, so in order to be able to derive benefit from that place, what do you need? You need strength. You need ability. You need some power. So that is what this dua is teaching us. That ask Allah Ta'ala for that strength to be able to benefit from that situation. You don't benefit, right? You're entering a place, you're entering your university, you're entering your work, your office, because you want to gain benefit from that place. You want to achieve your goal. In order to achieve your goal, you need to have certain ability, a capability, a strength. We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. That Allah, from your side, Allah grant me a strength so that I can take benefit from this place. So for example, if a person, let's say they enter a hospital, so we should have enough strength. Now, what is included in strength? When a person enters a hospital, so we should have first enough strength to be able to enter. Means that we need to have some money so that we can pay the fees for the doctor. You need to have enough strength to be able to meet the doctor, to get an appointment with the doctor. For everything, every step, you need some strength. You need some ability. But then there's also one thing else that Allah Ta'ala is teaching us here, that we're not just asking for plain strength or plain ability. What type of ability and strength we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for? Sultanan Nasira. Nasira. Allah, that strength which is supported by you. Because if there is strength and that strength does not get support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that strength is a waste. It's useless. It's futile. Strength alone cannot be any benefit to us. Any ability cannot be any benefit to us unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills it to be beneficial for us. Unless it has the support of Allah. It has the permission of Allah. Strength, there is no strength other than Allah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no strength, no power other than Allah. So if we really want strength which is beneficial, which can help us attain our goals and tasks, we're asking for that strength which is supported by Allah Ta'ala, which is coming from Allah Ta'ala, coming with the permission of Allah. If there's a young man, he's strong, he's physically able, young, has a lot of physical strength, but if he doesn't get tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that strength will be a waste, won't be of any benefit. So we're not simply asking Allah Ta'ala for brute strength or plain strength, but no, we're asking Allah Ta'ala that grant me, gift me from yourself a strength which is supported by you. And this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching us that don't be arrogant, don't be bold, don't have pride about your own ability, right? But be humble. Ask Allah Ta'ala that Allah grant me that strength which is going to be supported by you. And this is not just physical strength. We require all types of strengths. We require physical strength from Allah Ta'ala. We also require mental strength. Allah grant me that mental strength. Grant me intellectual strength. Grant me ilmi strength, scholarly strength. Ilm. I need ilm to be able to attain my goals. I need intellectual strength to be able to succeed in my goals. I need emotional strength to succeed. Today we study all these different types of intelligences, right? Emotional intelligence and moral intelligence. This is one word, Sultanan Nasira. And we're capturing all of the abilities and strengths which are there. That whether it's physical or it's moral or emotional or intellectual or ilmi strength, whatever type of strength there is, Allah, I'm asking you for that. Allah, you grant me that strength and that strength which has your support. So we require the assistance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, this is a very important lesson for us. That whatever, if we are students, let's say we're studying and we're doing our work and writing and reading and revising and learning and memorizing. So this is something for which we should not be proud about or arrogant about. Right? This is a strength that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. This should not make us proud and arrogant. Right? This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this ability to study. It's Allah Ta'ala has given us this ability, this strength to write, to revise, to memorize. So if a person start to brag about this and boast about their abilities, whether it's intellectual abilities or physical abilities or whatever type of ability, if you try to boast and brag about it, then this is something which is very displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is something which will not get assistance from Allah. We won't get that support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This will be that strength which will make a person distant from Allah. This is going to put a person further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the path of misguidance, not guidance. Pride, arrogance. This is, in one hadith it comes that kibriyai, this greatness, majesty is the cloak of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever tries to attribute this to himself, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala snatches that away from him and then abases that person. That person is embarrassed and humiliated. They get disgrace. So this realization should always be there, that whenever we use any blessing, whenever we see any ability within us, any strength within us, any capability within us, we should always realize that this is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should never forget the origin of that blessing, the giver of that blessing. Never attribute any quality to your own self. Never attribute any ability to your own self. It's not these, if I'm able to write or I'm intelligent or can speak well, this is the fazl of Allah. This is the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not my ownership. I should not attribute this to myself. This is not my kamal. It's not my perfection. This is the kamal of kamal wala. This is the perfection of that being who is perfect. It's the perfection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one should have this self-realization that any blessings or abilities that we have, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Allah ta'ala. And we should attribute it to Allah ta'ala and be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. Shukr is the antidote to kibr. Kibr means pride. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever has one drop of arrogance or pride in their heart will not be able to enter into Jannat. You need to purify your heart from these atomic diseases. And an easy cure, easy way to purify oneself from these emotions of pride and arrogance is to become a person of shukr, being grateful to Allah Ta'ala. These are two opposites. That person who is grateful to Allah Ta'ala for the blessings that they will never have pride in their heart. And on the other hand, if a person has a pride, means that they're not thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough. They're not aware of this fact that these blessings are coming from Allah Ta'ala. One should be appreciative to Allah Ta'ala, not attribute these blessings to their own self. Whether it's the blessing of ilm, whether it's the blessing of beauty or intelligence, or the ability to make good decisions, or the ability to write or speak, whatever the ability, whatever the nature of that ability, we should attribute it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is called again ruju ilallah, finding opportunities during the day, during the night, to coming back to Allah, turning to Allah, inclining towards the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is tawfiq from Allah. Wama tawfiqi illa billah. That there is no tawfiq, there is no ability for me to do any good deed except that I get that tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the rahmat of Allah Ta'ala. Even this hidayat, that we are on the path of deen, on the path of hidayah, on the path of Quran, this is also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's fazl and grace over us. That Allah Ta'ala out of His rahmat, Allah Ta'ala put us on this path of the Quran and the Sunnah. Put us on this path of this beautiful deen. Allahumma arina al-haqqa haqqa warzuqna ittiba wa arina al-batila batila warzuqna ijtinaba. So this is the last sentence, Sultan and Nasira, that strength which comes with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an ajib dua. Now this was the simple meaning of this dua. And again, the real purpose and the goal here is that we should try to make this dua a part of our daily regimen. And different stages of our life, in fact, different stages during the day and during the night, we should try to make this our wazifa, try to make this our dua and recite it often and abundantly during the day. Now, what is the historical context in which this dua was revealed, in which this ayat was revealed? So this ayat was revealed at a time when the Prophet ﷺ had intended to migrate from Makkah Mukarramah to Madinah Tayyibah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he got this command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he got the permission from Allah. And that is the time when this verse was revealed. And what happened was that when the Prophet ﷺ, all of us know that the Prophet ﷺ, he manifested his nabuwa at the age of 40. And then he started inviting people towards Islam. And then all of us, we know that people in Makkah Mukarramah, they started to reject that message, and not just rejecting the message, but oppressing and persecuting the Muslims. And this persecution increased to such a degree that the believers, the Sahaba Ikram, they were forced to migrate. It became difficult for them to live in Makkah Mukarramah. So the Prophet ﷺ gave Sahaba Ikram the permission to migrate. First migration was to Habsha, Abyssinia. Some people, they migrated there. And then after that, when the people in Medina Munawwara, they once came to the Prophet ﷺ, and there was a collaboration, a partnership that happened. And then the Sahaba Ikram, they started this migration towards Madinah Tayyibah. And this was a massive migration. All the Sahaba Ikram in large numbers, now they're migrating towards Madinah Tayyibah, one by one. They keep getting permission from the Prophet ﷺ, and they're now migrating towards Madinah Munawwara. Now, meanwhile, in Makkah Mukarramah, the Quraysh in Makkah, they were sworn enemies of the Prophet ﷺ. And they were now thinking that if the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, one by one, they're leaving Makkah Mukarramah, and Makkah Mukarramah is becoming empty of the Muslims, then it means that after some time, Prophet ﷺ would also be leaving Makkah Mukarramah. So what should we do? So they did they called a meeting in which their leaders convened, and now they're consulting with each other that what should be done, how should we deal with this situation. And they would have these meetings, these gatherings in a place called Darul Nadwa. And this is that same place which actually is in the Hatim of Haram Sharif, that semicircle. This was that place of Darul Nadwa, where these people used to come, gather, and have their meetings and consult each other that what should be done. So when they would convene, then people would have different ideas what should be done. Someone would say that we should imprison the Prophet ﷺ, and then another would reply that if we imprison, then all the Muslims will gather, the believers, the Sahaba will gather and will try to fight us, and that will become even a greater trouble for us. So imprisoning the Prophet ﷺ will not solve the situation for us. Others said that we should exile the Prophet ﷺ, send him away from this territory. So if we exile him, then in this way we can preserve our deen, our heritage, our legacy. So then again, some people replied and said that even if we exile, then that won't solve the solution, that won't solve the situation for us, because their deen will spread out and eventually it will begin to rival our deen. Then another person said that there is no way out of this, we'll need to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ. So when this was proposed, some people responded and said that the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ is very strong. And this was a tribal culture. So they said that if you attack the Prophet ﷺ, then the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ, since it's very strong, they will take revenge. And we won't be able to fend for ourselves against that attack. The tribe of the Prophet ﷺ was Banu Abdul Manaf. And it was a noble tribe. And then there was another person, and in some riwayat it's mentioned that this person was actually Shaitan. And Shaitan, he had advised one person who was there in that gathering, and he then came up with this suggestion that, whatever options you guys are discussing, they will futile, they won't be of any benefit. I'll present to you one suggestion which can work. And that suggestion is as follows, that whatever tribes are there in Makkah Mukarramah, let one person come from each tribe. Appoint one person from each tribe, and then these appointed individuals should at the same time attack and assassinate the Prophet ﷺ. Na'uzubillah. And then when you do that, then it won't be known that which tribe was it, which person was it, and hence the tribe of the Prophet ﷺ will not be able to take revenge, will not be able to take qisas, because they won't know which tribe should they fight. So everyone loved this suggestion, and they appointed one person from each tribe, and then they created this army. Abu Jahl was there, Ubay ibn Khalf was there, and then they decided that tonight we will do this. We will surround the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and then na'uzubillah, we will assassinate the Prophet ﷺ. So when the Prophet ﷺ was at home, the Prophet ﷺ saw that he was surrounded. The house, his house was surrounded on all four sides by the unbelievers. So the first thing that the Prophet ﷺ did when he saw this is that he called Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an. And despite the fact that these people, the Quraysh Makkah, they were enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, but still they viewed the Prophet ﷺ to be as-Sadiq and al-Amin, to be the truthful and trustworthy. And that's why they would keep their amanat and trusts and different things as amanat with the Prophet ﷺ. because they knew that there was no one more trustworthy than the Prophet ﷺ in Makkah Mukarramah. So they would come, place their valuables with the Prophet ﷺ. So Sayyidina Nabi ﷺ called Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an and assigned him with this task, that I want you to repay these amanat, and repay them back to their original owners. And this is again something for us to reflect. These are unbelievers who are thirsty for the Nauzubillah, the blood of the Prophet ﷺ. They have surrounded the Prophet ﷺ. They're making this plan to assassinate Nabi ﷺ, but they have kept their valuables as amanat with the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ has so much concern about their amanat, about their valuables, that calling Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an and saying that when I depart, I want you to give these amanat, these valuables back to their owners. And along with that, the Prophet ﷺ also said that I want you to sleep on my bed and don't be scared, because inshallah nothing will happen to you, no harm will reach you. Subhanallah, look at the strength of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an. This was a time when up till now there was no hukum that had come that you can attack the unbelievers, that you can fight them. That hukum had not yet come. This is Makki period. Makki period was that if they attack you, you're not supposed to retaliate. If they draw swords against you, you cannot reply. Just sabr, sabr, sabr. 13 years, this was the hukum. Wasbir, wama sabruka illa billah. Sabr, just be patient. Patiently endure everything. Otherwise, Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala an was such bravery, such strength, such ability. He could, if he wanted, he could alone, right, take the Prophet ﷺ out and they could have escaped. But this was not the hukum of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not supposed to raise your sword yet. So Sayyidina Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he's told to lie down on the bed. And then the Prophet ﷺ himself, he comes out of the house. And now when the people that have surrounded the house, so the Prophet ﷺ, he enters, he comes out, and he's reciting the following ayat, which is Surah Yasin. The following ayat from Surah Yasin, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ صَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ صَدًّا فَغَشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. This is the ayat in Surah Yasin, which means that we have made a wall in front of them and we have created a wall behind them. And we have placed veil and a curtain before their eyes. They will not be able to see anything. So the Prophet ﷺ is reciting this ayat and he is coming out. The entire house is surrounded. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Umayyah bin Khalf, big leaders. And no one knows what's happening. And the Prophet ﷺ is able to come out. He comes out, he exits, and then he straight away he goes to the house of Sayyidina Siddiq Akbar radiallahu ta'ala an. Because this was also part of that command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that choose a companion. Take a companion with you, and your companion on this journey will be Sayyidina Siddiq Akbar radiallahu ta'ala an. So when the Prophet ﷺ reached the house of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu an, on the way, these ayat were revealed. One ayat was revealed that these people, the kuffar, the unbelievers, they are making these plans to imprison you, to kill you, to exile you. But wallahu khairul makirin, Allah Ta'ala is the best of planners. Let them plan. Allah Ta'ala is the best of planners. That was one ayat that was revealed at this time. And the second ayat which was revealed at this time was this dua, was this particular ayah which we're doing tonight. وَقُلْ رَبِّ أَدْخِلْنِي مُدْخَلَ صِدْقٍ وَأَخْرِجْنِي مُخْرَجَ صِدْقٍ وَاجْعَلْ لِي مِن لَّدُنْكَ سُلْطَانًا نَصِيرًا. Now we should reflect on the context that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is already decreed. It's already written down in the taqdeer. Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam is the beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. and Allah Ta'ala will help the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is already known. That Allah Ta'ala will save the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from these unbelievers. And still, despite knowing this, Allah Ta'ala is teaching the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that still make dua to me. We will save you. We will surely save you. We will surely assist you. We will surely help you. But your task is to make dua. So, kul, make dua. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq. So this is teaching us that even though taqdeer, our destiny has been written down by the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Decisions have already been made. But the requirement of us being the servant and slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of ubudiyah, abdiyat, servitude before Allah, the requirement of that servitude before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that even though you know that this is the decision of Allah, that Allah will save me, Allah will help me, you are supposed to still make dua. Make dua to Allah Ta'ala. This is the requirement of abdiyat, ubudiyat. This is what it means to be an abd of Allah, to be a servant and slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that whenever you are faced with any difficulty, ask Allah Ta'ala. Ask Allah Ta'ala. Even if you know that difficulty will go away, and you know that for sure, still ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah please remove this difficulty. You're extremely thirsty, and you know this person is bringing a glass of water to you, which will quench your thirst, and you know that with certainty. Still you ask Allah Ta'ala that Allah, you please quench my thirst. Allah, please give me a glass of water. This is called that you're putting your gaze upon Allah. You're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not looking at makhluk. You're putting your trust upon Allah. That fa'ile hakiki is Allah. The real doer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for that reason, always you're doing ruju ilallah. You're turning your gaze towards Allah. Asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill your needs. So here we know that there was no doubt that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely save the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam from all these plannings and plottings of the unbelievers. Allah Ta'ala will assist. Allah Ta'ala will help the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is already known. This is known with surety. There is no doubt about this. Even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would know with yaqeen, certainty, that this is Allah Ta'ala's help will come. That this hijrat, this migration will be completed. And the Prophet ﷺ will be able to enter Madinah Munawwara. And then in Madinah Munawwara, there will be people to welcome the Prophet ﷺ. And there will be people who will obey and follow the deen of the Prophet ﷺ. All of this was decreed. All of this was decided. But here, before walking, before doing hijrah, this is hukum from Allah Ta'ala. The command is coming that make this dua. وَقُرْ رَبِّ أَدْخِلْنِي مُدْخَلَ صِدْقٍ. That you are a messenger, but before that you are our servant. Allahu Akbar. No, you are before that you are our servant. Abduhu wa rasuluh. This is our kalima. First we testify not to the risalat. First we testify to the ubudiyat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. That all your darajat, all the darajat of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the ranks of the Prophet ﷺ are there. But before that, before all of those ranks is this rank, which is Abdullah, the servant of Allah, the slave of Allah. And this is the greatest rank a person can get. Subhanallazi asra bi abdihi laylam min al masjid al harami ila al masjid al aqsa. Wahabi, you see the word abd. That praise belongs to that being who took his servant, not bi rasulihi, who took his, not his messenger, who took his servant. So this is what it means to be a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That even when you're in such a circumstances, in such situation, where you know for sure that Allah will help us, still ask Allah Ta'ala for that help. And if you look at all the help that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already decided for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a curtain or a veil would come before the eyes of the unbelievers. Then the Prophet ﷺ would go in the cave, the Ghar Sawr, and stay there for 3 days and 3 nights. And a spider will come and weave a web at the mouth of that cave to prevent the unbelievers from entering. And a pigeon will give an egg there and right at the mouth. And the people will reach the Quraysh Makkah, they will reach the mouth of that cave. But then they will return back thinking that there's no one inside. So we see all of this. We see that on the journey, there will be people who will recognize that this is the Prophet ﷺ, and they will try to make attempts on the life of the Prophet ﷺ. But every time Allah Ta'ala will save the Prophet ﷺ. And then eventually the Prophet ﷺ will reach Madinah Munawwara and will be welcomed by the boys and the girls of Madinah Munawwara. They will be reciting Tala al-Badru alayna. All of this scene is in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of this has been decided, decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But despite all of this being decided, the Prophet ﷺ is being told that make this dua. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidq. And hence the Prophet ﷺ, he makes this dua. So we should reflect on what this dua is. Another thing to note and ponder here is that this dua is not beginning with Allahumma. There are other duas which begin with Allahumma. This dua begins with Rabbi. Rabbi, that oh my Rabb, my Lord, my cherisher, my nourisher, my nurturer. And the reason why this Rabbi is used here is because this is Rabbi is like your father. Rabbi, your parents are your Rabb in one sense. And here we're not using the Isme Zat of Allah Ta'ala or the Ism of Allah, Allah. Rather, we are using this relationship that we have with Allah Ta'ala. Not using the personal name of Allah Ta'ala, the Isme Zat, but using that personal relationship that Allah Ta'ala has with us. The relationship of Rububiyat, the relationship that Allah Ta'ala is doing our upbringing. He's doing our tarbiyat. Allah Ta'ala is fulfilling all our needs. He's providing for all our needs. We are invoking that relationship that Allah Ta'ala has with us. It's the same relationship that a father has with their child. At a human level, it's that same rububiyah. Rabbir hamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. So it's that same relationship that Allah Ta'ala is He's our provider. He is the provider for our needs. He is the fulfiller of our needs. He is our caretaker. He is our nurturer. He is our nourisher. He is our sustainer. He is doing our upbringing, bringing us up every single moment, making us more perfect and perfect, granting us the abilities and giving us strength every single moment. So we start this dua with this relationship that we have with Allah Ta'ala. Rabbi, that oh my Rabb, that whenever I am thirsty, Allah, my Rabb gives me water to drink. He quenches my thirst. When I'm hungry, my Rabb, He gives me food and nourishes me and removes my hunger. When I'm sick, then my Rabb, He gives me healing and shifa. So we begin this dua invoking that relationship with Allah Ta'ala. Rabbi, adkhilni mudkhala sidq. The second thing in this translation is that we say that Allah, make me enter, wherever I'm entering, make me enter that place with the goodness. Now this word goodness is just to explain in a very simple language, but the Quranic word that is being used here is sidq. Sidq. And sidq means different. Goodness would be adkhilni mudkhala hasanin. Hasan. Hasan means good. Sidq means something else. Sidq means, it's difficult to translate this fully. Normally we say truth, that make me enter this place with the truth, with the truthfulness, with haqq. Now, what's the meaning of this word sidq? This sidq has to do with our, not just with our tongue that you always speak the truth. This also has to do with our amal. You have a sidq of your tongue, which is that you speak the truth, you don't tell lie. But there's also a sidq, which is related with your amal, with your action. And the sidq of your action is that whatever action that you do that action in a way that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no shortcomings, there is no flaw or deficiency in that action. This is the sidq of amal, that you have completed that action fully. You have fulfilled that action. So for example, if a person prays salah, so you pray salah in the masnoon way, the sunnah way, in the way that the Prophet ﷺ taught us how to pray salah. Sallu kama ra'aytuni salli. That you pray salah the way I have, the way you see me praying. This is called sidq of salah. That you recite the Quran in the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us how to recite the Quran. You do ruku and sajda in salah the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught the Prophet ﷺ to do ruku and sajda. That is the sidq of our salah. That you pray that salah in the way it's supposed to be prayed without any flaw or shortcoming or deficiency. So you have a sidq in your speech, that you speak the truth. You have a sidq in your action, that you do that action, you fulfill that action and do it properly, correctly, without any flaw or fault. And thirdly, you have a sidq in your purpose, in your goal, in your objective, that the goal should also be right. The goal should also be right. Outwardly, inwardly, the goal should be right. Which means when you pray your salah, you're praying that salah for what goal? You're praying it for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. Ikhlas, sincerity. That not just you pray your salah in the right method, but you also pray it with the right intention. That is called sidq in our goal. This is sidq. So this one word sidq, it encompasses all three meanings. It is comprehensive in its meaning. That you speak you sidq in your speech, in your action, and in your intentions, in your goal. So we see that this is the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us. And this is an indication that Allah make me enter. So this is the Prophet's system about to enter Medina Munawwara. Allah make me enter Medina Munawwara with sidq. Sidq means that make me enter Medina Munawwara in the best way, with the best of intentions, with the best of speech. All three. Best of speech, best of actions and mannerisms and akhlaq and character, and the best of intentions, which is to earn your raza. So one word, all of this one word can encapsulate, can cover everything here. Mudkhala sidq. That Allah make me enter this place with the best of speech, with the best of actions and manners and akhlaq and adab and etiquettes, and with the best of intentions, such that I'm able to attain my goal. I can attain success in my goal. And my goal is to attain your raza, is to attain your pleasure. So whenever we make this dua, now apply this to yourself. Whenever you apply this dua, you make this dua, you're entering somewhere. So you should think that when I'm reciting these words, think about all of these aspects. That Allah make me enter this place with the truth. But what does truth mean? What does sidq mean? Allah make me enter this place, first of all, with the right intention, which is that I want to attain your pleasure. So for example, you're entering, right, your workplace to earn rizq halal tayyib. You're entering your university to get a rizq, to get ilm nafi, beneficial knowledge. You're entering your madrasa, you're entering the hospital, whatever it is, Allah, right intention, which is intention that will help me attain your pleasure. Your focus is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your goal is on Allah. Your goal is Allah ta'ala. And then with the best of actions, the best of mannerisms, the best of etiquettes, and then with the best of speech. In Urdu or in English, we don't have one word that can be equivalent for sidq. So that's why we use this word goodness. Allah, make me enter with goodness. If I say make me enter with truth, now truth, people won't understand what that means. But this word sidq is very broad in Arabic language. In Quran, Allah says that laysal bir, that goodness is not that you turn your face east or west. Walakin, but goodness, neki, piety, is man amana billah, that you believe in Allah. There's a whole long list that you bring iman upon Allah Ta'ala, you bring iman on akhirah, bring iman on the messengers and the prophets of Allah, that despite your love for the wealth, you still spend that wealth in the path of Allah. A whole long list is mentioned that do this action, do this action, do this action. And then at the end, it says that all of those people who do all of these actions, those individuals who do all of these actions, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. That a person who does all of these actions, these are the ones who have sidq. These are the ones who are truthful. They are true in their speech. They are true in their actions, in their amal. They are true in their intentions, in their goals, in their purpose, in their niyat. These are وَأُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُتَّقُونَ. And these are the ones who are also muttaqi. So sidq is very important. Allah Ta'ala has linked sidq with taqwa. So may Allah Ta'ala grant us this quality of sidq, that whatever we do it with sidq. We do it in a manner that is pleasing to Allah, with the intention that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we do it with our call and our speech that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Mus'ab bin Umair radiyallahu ta'ala an, he was a Sahabi who was martyred, Shaheed at Ghazwa Uhud. And how was he martyred? Allahu Akbar. He was carrying the flag of Islam. And the unbelievers, they attacked him and they cut one hand. So he's holding the flag with the other hand, lest it falls down. Then they cut the second hand. So now Hazrat Mus'ab bin Umair radiyallahu ta'ala an, he's holding the flag with his back and his neck, between his back and his neck. Not allowing that flag to fall down. Because this was a flag which was given by the Prophet ﷺ. How can this go? How can this fall down on the ground? Holding it like that. And eventually he was martyred. And his resting place is still there in Uhud, Ghazwa Uhud. When he was martyred, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised this in the Quran. And there is a riwayat which comes with the Prophet recited this ayat, that Allazina sadaku ma ahadallah, that these are the ones who have fulfilled their pledge to Allah Ta'ala. They sacrificed their life on the command of Allah Ta'ala. They've fulfilled, they've shown that they're truthful in their pledges and promises to Allah. This is the sidq, that they were willing to give their life for Allah and for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we make dua that may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable all of us out of His rahmah that we can make this dua. May Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq to make this dua abundantly in our days, in our nights. May Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq to make this dua whenever we enter and leave our homes, our cars, our offices, our universities, our cities, any new place. May Allah Ta'ala grant us the barakat of this dua, the blessings associated with this dua. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. سبحان ربي الوهاب اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربي أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تهول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك اللهم لا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك ولا يرحمنا يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا ورزقا واسعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا ورزقا حلالا طيبا وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة ورحمة بعد الموت والعفو عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار رب زدني علما وألحقني بالصالحين اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على حبيبه خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين